and Bigfoot in exchange for one show about mind over matter. Oh yeah. Well, it all came out eventually. Yeah. Improved.
You have a question over there?
Yeah, I wanted to say how much our family enjoys watching you on Warehouse 13. That's another wonderful thing out there for you. But when you first came on the screen, I hadn't watched the spoilers, so I didn't know you were going to be on there. And my children heard a sound out of me I don't think they've ever heard before. This full-on squeal coming out loud. So then I had to explain why I would make such a sound because this woman's come on the screen. And as I started explaining it, I kind of told them that for a woman in our mid-40s, right, like the one who was up here before, you gave us something we didn't have before. You were someone we could play on the playground. And as I look across sci-fi, there are very few female characters who've really had a transformative effect on society. I mean, there's you and Aurora, and I mean, in terms of really transforming how people think about themselves, you're in a very small group. And all I can wonder is, what does it feel like all these years later to walk around with that inside of you? Because that's kind of a wonderful burden that you carry, but you transformed how we think about ourselves. So, I mean, you talked a little bit about society and everything, but I'd just be interested in knowing how that feels.
You're going to cry now. Well, it doesn't feel like a burden, that's for sure. I'm deeply grateful for having had the opportunity to do that, that it showed up in my life in such a way that, because, it's just kind of the way I think, it's how I see the world, it's how I want to see the world, and I just share that in whatever ways I can, whether it's in a little way over here with an individual, or whether it's in this amazing arena that I seem to have stumbled into in this lifetime. But hearing the stories, sometimes I just sit in awe of what people come. I feel I wanted we all have a lot of goals, and we all have a lot of specifics that we'd like to have or accomplish in our life. And for me, my primary one that's been a consistent is wanting to live my life in service. And if that's a primary, then you've got all these other possibilities that come out of that. And that's one of the things that I talk about in my workshops and my retreats and things like that, is finding the meaning for your life. And so, because you can do a million different things, and if it doesn't have meaning for you, if you don't feel like you're contributing something, even the most exciting thing can become shallow and can fall apart. And when you have some kind of a feeling or a commitment like that inside of you, even the smallest thing can be very satisfying. It stays with you. It's like a good meal instead of just having a hot roast Sunday. And I wouldn't have one. So it's so meaningful to me because as a kid, I was 25 when I stumbled into this, and I just, boom, here I had all this. And I was just dancing as fast as I could with my experience at that time, and my capabilities at that time, and my worldview at that time. Somebody said, here, you have this massive stage to do something with. I said, okay, this, and you have very little time to do it in. And so, until you all got older, and could share with me, as opposed to the child of like, oh, yeah. When you got older and were able to share with me in a cognizant way what it meant to you, I honestly didn't really know what I had been a part of, or how it affected people. And as the late 20s came around, y'all became late 20s and 30, and the expressions of what it meant to you, both men and women, that's when I got my feedback. That's when I found myself just being bowled over at that many years later, realizing how how impactful it was. So it's still evolving for me. I'm still learning. People still in these opportunities here to see you and hear your stories, and it just blows my mind. Today we were sitting there signing autographs, and they came up and told me another story. And somebody's going, hi! And my eyes are all red. Wow, this is too cool. That was just amazing. So that's why I feel like I was just a part of this thrust by the creative source of the universe, that said, okay, here, I need you over here. It wasn't me, I, me. So we were all creating the future together.
You said y'all.
I can't help it, I'm an actor. I show up in Atlanta or anything farther south, and I start talking about it. I come home from working in Canada and I say, hey, everybody.
Hi, I want to say again, thank you for coming. And just point out, a lot of women have said how important you were. And I have to, just a quick comment. I surprised myself when I look back when I was really young, and I really loved the show, and I was all into boy things and boys, and I watched the $6 Million Man. So it was a little surprising to me that if that makes any sense, that I really loved the Bionic Woman. I thought it was just great. My question is actually, after such an iconic role, we hear a lot about typecasting, things like that. So I just wondered, you of course did many, many other things, but did you encounter typecasting, people just thinking of you as a Bionic Woman and not wanting you to do other things?
The fact that there weren't any others to play, it's hard to typecast. Actually, no. And in fact, throughout the filming of the series, Jamie went undercover, as you recall, doing different types of things, and that was that was one of my requests to Ken when I agreed to do the series, was because I didn't want to get typecast. When you think of Jamie, I mean, and you have to think about people in the business too, their mindsets, because I was doing that for that reason. And so give me a chance to play something over here, something goofy over here, something serious over here, see what I look like in a habit. Just, that was a very conscious decision to do that, to try and help break that, because that was a difficult thing back in those days to get, one could easily get typecast, but it's because the character was usually written pretty narrow and pretty distinct. That's what that character does, but Jamie was all over the map on purpose, so it was harder to say what type she really was. Yeah. And then right away I went, because I could, I would write my TBQ, we could use those. Do they still use that? These days? I think so. Anyway, but you know what I mean, the TBQ back then was so high that I could do whatever I wanted on television, and therefore I was able to say, I want to do this serious movie, and I want to do a movie about this, and I want to do a movie about child abuse and domestic violence, and all the things that I issue stuff that I wanted to do. So that whatever molds may have been forming in those 3 years during the series got broken pretty quickly right afterwards, because I went into many different characters from there. And the male thing of what was interesting when I was saying how the kids were growing up, and the women in their 20s now were able to start talking to me about what it meant to them. It didn't until that group you all got to. There is no word for that in the North. You all.
You guys.
The young men didn't start sharing things with me until they got into 30, 35, 40. I think because they were then secure enough about who they were as a man that they didn't have to worry about copying the fact that they loved the Bionic Woman. And that they used to go and, sit and watch it with their little sisters so that they had an excuse, and they would tell their friends. I mean, I've heard so many of those stories I tell my friends. Today I can tell you. I used to tell my friends, oh, I gotta go. My little sister likes to watch that show. My mom wants me to be there with her. She's going to the store or something.
We have another question?
Hello there. My name is Tommy Brown, and I want to know how much I really enjoy the Bionic Woman, you know, watching you leap over fences. And I really want to know what's really your motivation. Were you more motivated with the Bionic Woman or any of your other movies or other ventures?
I'm not 100% sure I'm clear on the question. My motivation for what?
Okay, I'm so sorry. Let me explain that again. How did you feel about doing movies, or just doing the Bionic Woman, or just really in your lifetime? What other things, what other movies are you motivated to do?
Now or then?
Oh, well, kind of both, really. Back then and now.
An essay question. Well, doing a television series, if I'm understanding you correctly, doing a television series is a huge commitment. And I enjoyed doing it. At the time, I had no children, and young, and lots of energy, and once the series was over, I didn't particularly want to go into another series, if that's what you're referring to. I wanted more. I liked the television movie format because it allowed me to get deeply into a subject and that I wanted to explore through film and to share thoughts about. And we could do all of that within a couple of months, a month of filming and a few weeks of prep for me and a couple of weeks on the other end for me, and the rest of the team did the rest of it. And so in a very short period of time, I could do an in-depth study of certain things that I wanted to do. You can do that in a series, but the time commitment is very different. And since I was, shortly after the series, ended up getting married and having children, and I stayed in that arena because it fit my life. So my motivation was to do the things I wanted to do in the business and still be able to be a mom for my kids. Today I would consider doing a series. It would have to be, of course, just the right thing, but short of that. Okay?
We have time for one more question, and actually I think this one is coming over the speaker here.
Oh, this is the, she was waiting for the last.
Oh, I'm sorry. We do have one more. All right.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to tell you that you're exactly like I remembered you, and you look fantastic. I grew up in the 80s watching Bionic Woman, Bionic Man, even the Dukes of Hazzards. And to me, those shows were like self-sacrifice, all about self-sacrifice. And that was one of the reasons why I went into the military. I've been in the military for a long time. So I wanted to know how much of an influence do you think today's show have on young people? Like the shows of back then. Do you think that really plays a role in how society is? I know that's kind of a deep question, and I don't know how much time we have left, but...
And as you can see, you ask me a deep question, you're going to get an answer. I guess we're just talking about this. You know, just because we have to, you do have to, would you? We do have to kind of get, because other people are going to come in, I guess, a little bit. What I will say is that the medium of television is so powerful to influence. And I think it's really important for people, filmmakers, even you as the audience, to remember that. Because as much as you think, oh, well, you know, I watched that, that's not how I feel, or how I think, or how I feel, the fact of what's going on in that thing is affecting you in some way on an energy level, and that is going to have an impact on the way you feel, on the way what you process while you sleep, how you act during the day. If you watch something over and over again, you'll find yourself starting to emulate something, or someone can maybe even see it in you before you even see it in yourself. So we need to be very conscious about what we really focus on, because it really does have an impact on us subconsciously that we're not aware of over and over again. And certainly it does to children, and it definitely does to all adults, and anybody really. So it is on a daily basis affecting our future. We're co-creating our future. So as watchers, I would totally encourage you to write to the networks, to write to the stations with what you feel is positive, with what you feel is negative. Don't underestimate your ability to be able to influence it. Because all they're wanting to do is make sure they get the numbers, and if they know you're watching and you like this, and you know, you keep doing that, I'm not going to watch anymore. Yeah, honestly, it's a relationship that you may not realize that you have. They know they have it with you. So I highly encourage that kind of, based on what you're saying, my answer is absolutely yes. It influences it all the time. And you're not powerless in this process at all. You brought about the Bionic woman, or your parents did. So vote. Get out there and vote with what you want to see on TV and make your voices heard. I know some of your daughters, that's great. But don't just talk about what's there. Talk about what you'd like to see. Talk about what you don't like that is there. And make that voice heard. What you would like to see there. What you'd like to create in the future. Therefore, let's have some influences in that way.
Do we have time or? Technology wonderful.
Yeah, my arm works better than that.
But we are dealing with some old tech here too.